Welcome to my little camping adventure. So, we were staying right next to the Columbia River and obviously some train tracks, and also this little gem, the Stonehenge Memorial. Yes, Central Washington has its own Stonehenge. It's actually a memorial to fallen soldiers in the area, starting out with World War One, but there's the plaques indicated that they just kind of keep adding on. Beautiful views of the Columbia River Gorge from this area. It really is a pretty stunning landscape right along the river. And then this random little thing. Right down the road is the Maryhill Museum. I think it was about 17 US dollars for an adult ticket, maybe 16, somewhere in there. It was kind of a random museum. Like, I described it as, not really curated so much as just vibes. There is an extensive collection that was donated um, over time, which is what you just saw. And there's also a random but extensive Rodin collection. Um, not really sure why, but the kind of people whose personal collection started the museum just really happen to like these artists. They apparently also really happen to like chess because they have a fairly extensive chess collection. Some of these were actually really, really cool, like super intricate. There was also a pretty neat Indigenous arts and handicrafts exhibit, kind of looking at a bunch of different regions from around the United States and kind of, showcasing some of the work. There was also some interesting little plaques about, like, curation of things like this too, which I found really interesting. So, yeah, overall, like, I'm glad I went, but I don't know that I ever need to go back. There were certainly some elements of this museum that were just kind of random, and I didn't need, like this puppet theater that I wasn't really sure about, but the museum seemed quite committed. So, there's that, and I'm glad they gave us a little history. It was definitely part of, the world that I knew absolutely nothing about. So we walked through the whole museum, kind of each on our own, and agreed to meet up at a certain time. And this was my little stroll, finishing up the little puppet things. Um, we went outside on the deck, which overlooks the Columbia River, and took some cool pictures. Then spent the afternoon on the river before getting ice cream, and then took advantage of the dark, dark sky. Day two started early with another walk run for me. Beautiful scenery, beautiful day. We decided to take a trip inland today to see a couple of little towns. There was also supposed to be a cute little bakery attached to some sort of monastery that we were intrigued by. So we decided to take a look at the countryside, made a bunch of stops to see the scenery, which, is always a little bucolic and very different than where we live. So this is the teeny, teeny, tiny town that we stopped in called Goldendale. It's kind of a blink and you miss it. I think there's about 4 or 5 blocks that make up the entirety of Main Street. So we walked all of them, poked our head in a few shops, and then we went out to see this little observatory. So we could see for a really long distance. Then we went back to camp, and right next to it, there's a winery that we had to visit, of course, before spending the afternoon on the river.
Well, hello. So it's been 3 days and I was camping with my friends. Showed you a little bit of snippets of places we went, but now I'm at Beacon Rock State Park. It is this huge salt rock that I'm going to climb to the top of. So the Columbia River Gorge was formed by basically like lava that formed hard rock billions and billions of years ago, and then ice age floods, which kind of like sharpened and carved a lot of the like hills and valleys of this region today. So there's a lot of cool little outdoor climbing adventures and things like that you can do. So I'm going to climb Beacon Hill, or sorry, Beacon Rock. I keep saying that. So apparently Beacon Rock is actually the lava plug inside a cooled, hardened volcano. So I'm gonna climb up and see the top. So Columbia River Gorge looks way different this far west. So where I was before was much more in central Washington, Oregon, and this is like the western part, but that's still the Columbia River, the one that we've been camping along. And I don't know if you can see it on the camera, that little white line there, right there. I believe that's Multnomah Falls, which is, I think it starts like up there, but you can only see a little bottom of it. If you look, you can see all the little spindly trees. There was a big wildfire here a handful of years ago, and it burnt this whole area. Well, if you're scared of heights, this is not the hike for you. It's basically just straight up these switchbacks. Many of them have like those wooden bridges. See? You can see through them. That direction, that's the Bonneville Dam. Slightly controversial. It's this really impressive big dam, but in order to build it, they had to flat out a lot of indigenous communities that lived along the water. So they were like relocated, which basically meant forest our land, and given not much of the way that of life they're used to survive. But the dam provides a lot of hydroelectric power, so that's why at the time, people were like, it's worth it. I don't know if the indigenous people believe that. In fact, I think they probably don't. Okay, well, I made it to the top. There's some people up there, so the top is actually right there. So I didn't want to talk to you while they were there, but I got some shots. It's like, well, according to my watch, it's 0.7 miles up and 593 feet, but the actual like thing itself from the very bottom, which the trail doesn't start at the very bottom, I think it's like 800 feet. So yeah, that's it. Elevation is always such a game changer for me because, you know, my watch is saying it's like a little under 0.8 miles that I went, but it took me half an hour because I was going up like almost 600 feet, which, because I'm in good hiking shape right now from the summer, cool, that's good, that's like normal from what I can do at this time of year. But beginning of summer, when I'm not yet in hiking shape, probably take me twice as long, honestly, or maybe not twice, but quite a bit longer. So now I'm going down 8 million switchbacks. I keep thinking if this were the Southwest Coast path, they'd be like, here's a staircase, good luck. So I've made a little bit of a stop in Camas, Washington. Now, not exactly a hotbed of activity or a tourist destination. However, they do have one thing, and that is Burgerville. Burgerville is this kind of like Oregon chain, and Camas is close enough to Oregon to have one. And I don't, like, even when I lived in Oregon, I didn't go to Burgerville very often, but in the summer, they always have Walla Walla sweet onion rings and some sort of berry lemonade, and that is like my absolute favorite. So that is what I am here to get. A Marion berry lemonade. Okay, without a doubt, the Camas Burgerville employees are like the nicest fast food employees I think I've ever encountered. They're like so friendly. They're all like very young, like I would say late high school, early 20s. So friendly, so nice, joking with me. It was great. So highly recommend them. But now it is time to go back to Seattle for real, for good this time. It is Wednesday and I start back at work on Monday. So yep, I think this is going to be it for my epic summer adventures.